How's it going? So today we're going to talk about how to pass TOEFL the lazy way. And, I have done it twice, and I've passed it twice with a good score. I passed with 113 and 114, and let me tell you, I was pretty lazy about it because around that time I had other exams that I had to focus on and I had to study for. So that's why, I didn't want to waste too much time with it. But I'm just going to tell you what I did exactly and how you can do it too. And, just score with it. Win. Be a winner, basically. Yeah, so stay tuned if you want to see that. Alright, before we jump into it, I thought I should mention that you should definitely have some proficiency in English already before you even attempt to take this exam. Otherwise, it's definitely going to be hard for you to score high, okay? So I will give you some tips, tricks, and some tools and templates that would help you to get a high score. But if your English isn't on a decent level already, then, it's going to be hard to get over 100. So make sure you got your vocabulary and your grammar right. Make sure you, watch your movies in English, listen to podcasts, or read newspapers like, some sophisticated newspapers like New York Times, Washington Post, something with hard to understand articles. It's going to be challenging, but it will prepare you well. So I'm just going to tell you what I did, which, might be helpful to you. But I basically had 2.5 weeks to get ready for this exam. And I think it's definitely possible to get ready for it quicker. But I had 2.5 weeks. And, well, I didn't really prepare for it. I didn't order any books or anything. So I was kind of in a time crunch. What I did is I just Googled TOEFL preparation books.pdf and just downloaded a couple of PDFs and practiced with those. So I downloaded 3 books in total, and each book has a chapter which is specific for each part of the TOEFL exam. And the TOEFL exam has 4 parts: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. So the first 4 days I just tried to get familiar with the type of questions and how this whole layout is of the TOEFL exam, just to get kind of familiar with it, just to get to know how they ask questions, which is very important with the TOEFL exam. They have a specific way of doing that, okay? So the first day I just focused on the reading part. I did a bunch of reading tests or a bunch of reading questions. And I didn't even waste time on reading the whole book, okay, because each chapter starts with an introduction, with a detailed explanation of what type of questions they have in the TOEFL exam, and I just didn't really have time for that. What I did is I just skipped to the practice questions and at the end of each chapter, and that's what I would advise you to do as well, especially if you're in a time crunch like I was in. Don't read it all. Skip to the practice. Skip to the good part at the end. And every day I just focus on a different chapter. At the end of the week, I was usually just doing complete TOEFL exams, which, just includes all 4 parts of the TOEFL. And I kind of got a feeling for timing, and, I was putting everything on the clock. I was trying to get fast. I was trying to, get familiar with the speed that I have to work in to successfully master all the questions. So let's get started with the first part, which is the reading part. You will have about 35 minutes for that part, and you'll get 2 sections, which just means you get 2 articles and about 20 questions. So please do me a favor and don't underestimate those 35 minutes. You might think, wow, 20 questions in 35 minutes, definitely doable. Yes, it is, but you haven't seen those articles yet. Hello, those articles are hard to understand. It's usually a topic that you are not familiar with, that you have never talked or read about. And it's usually like scientific papers, articles. It's hard to understand articles, usually about a topic that you have never encountered before, that you have never spoken about before. So it's definitely something that you have to get used to it. Don't get intimidated. You don't have to understand every single thing. And also a tip that I'm going to give you is don't read the complete article when you start that reading part. What you're going to do is you will only skim through the text. You don't have to read it all. Read the first paragraph, and then after that you will read the first sentence of every paragraph that follows. Later on, when you will start answering the questions, they will show you each paragraph that question is relating to. Okay, so you will end up reading the paragraphs like multiple times, a couple of times afterwards. So the most important thing for you is just to understand the main idea after reading through it or skimming through it the first time. And then you will have to answer quick. You will go through the questions as fast as possible. You still have to be focused. You still have to be aware of the wrong answers, especially because they kind of trick you into believing, hey, that could be a right answer. But just make sure that you answer everything quickly. You will have a little paper with a pen to take notes, and you will write down every question that you are not sure about. And as soon as you're done with both parts of the reading section, you will go back to the questions that you didn't understand, and you will review those answers. And trust me, you will decide to kind of pick a different answer than you did the first time. This happened to me all the time. Get your phone out, time yourself for 35 minutes, skip through the text or skim through it, answer the questions quickly, and go back to the questions that you were not sure about at the first time. With the TOEFL, it's just very important to get familiar with the way that they are asking stuff. As soon as you are kind of familiar with the questions, you'll be alright. Just a couple of tips for wrong answers, which I did. I made this mistake multiple times, so I hope you'll do better than me. Answer that is always incorrect is when they use some type of extreme language in it. If they say something like, all the people were involved, or every single time people were dying, or something like that, right? Something that's super extreme, you can be 100% sure that this is going to be a wrong answer. And another type is if there is, everything about the answer sounds correct, and you're like, oh yeah, that must be it. But then there's one little detail that you have never read in the article. So this type of answer, it's there to fool you. It's there to trick you. So don't pick it. If there's one little detail that's not mentioned in an article, it's wrong. As I said, you will get used to the questions and you'll get really good at it. Just time yourself and be prepared for that pressure. Otherwise, you'll have some difficulties during the exam. Okay, so next is the listening part, and you have about 5 sections and 28 questions. 5 sections just means that you will have some conversations, you will have discussions, some lectures, announcements. You have to be aware of every single detail. You really have to listen well. Use your little paper that you get and that you have. Write down every single detail. Write down everything, every name, every date, every detail, every number that they mention, because trust me, they will ask you the most random things later on, and you're like, what? That's not even the main point of the conversation or whatever, right? So they will ask you random things. Be prepared to answer those, and don't underestimate this part either. I thought that would be the easiest part, but the second time around I took that exam, I was definitely surprised how difficult the listening part was. Write everything down, abbreviate words, write them as short as possible, and write quickly. As quick as possible, write everything down. So for practicing the listening part, I watched a bunch of TST Prep TOEFL videos on YouTube. His channel has a bunch of videos for every part of the TOEFL, but I only used his listening preparation videos. I did a couple of those. I think I did 4 or 5 just to get familiar again with the way they are asking stuff in the test. So that was very helpful. Also be aware of the way that the conversation or the lecture is structured. Pay attention if they start with a problem and then offer a solution, or if they just mention the topic in the beginning and then provide a bunch of examples. The third part is the speaking part, and you have 4 tasks here. Back then it was more, so I'm definitely grateful that they kind of reduced the number of tasks here. My most important thing and my best advice for you guys is to use templates. Use templates. I'm actually gonna give you some of my templates. You can use mine, you can use other people's templates, just Google it, there's a bunch of them out there. Make your own, whatever works for you, but you have to have a structure. You have to know your templates by heart. Don't trust on your memory, because during the exam you will be stressed, your thoughts are gonna be a mess. So you have to know your templates by heart. You gotta write those templates down before the speaking section starts as fast as you can. It's probably gonna be a mess, but they will help you so much. If your answer is gonna follow the template, it's gonna have a perfect structure. The person who's gonna rate your speaking is gonna understand everything well, no matter how bad your accent is, no matter how bad your English is, at least you had a great structure and your answer made sense. It's crucial for you to time yourself. It's very stressful to come up with a good answer in about 15 seconds, okay? So they will ask you something, for example, a personal preference. And they would ask you something like, what's your favorite sport? Or what do you prefer, soccer or football, American football? You know, you have to come up with a good answer, but then you have to provide examples. So you will write down your answer real quick as notes. Do 2 bullet points, and you write just like a word or 2 for explanation why you chose that preference, whatever it is. You always got to explain your choice. You got to get used to that. And they also ask questions that you usually don't have to answer. Definitely get familiar with those type of random questions that you have never thought about before, you know? It's just random. So as I said, it's very stressful. You got to get used to the pressure. You got to get used to coming up with a good answer in about 15 seconds. So what I used was TOEFLresources.com. They have a bunch of recordings for the speaking part, which you can listen to with some questions. So that was really helpful. Alright, last but not least, the writing part. My favorite part, whoop whoop, not really, because it is also quite a challenge, like everything about this exam. Again, you gotta know your templates. I'm gonna give you some of my templates. Again, you can use them or not, whatever you choose. But it definitely helped me out to learn them by heart. And then once the writing section started, I typed them out real quick. You gotta be able to type out your templates in under 3 minutes. And then you just fill in the template with your answers, which is definitely gonna make it easier. And you, again, gonna have a great structure, and it's gonna sound sophisticated and smart if you have everything structured and in paragraphs and stuff like that. So real quick, the writing part has 2 sections. First, the integrated one, where you hear a lecture and then you read an article or a little statement, and then you have about 20 minutes to respond to that, and then you have another part which is called academic discussion, and there you hear, no, you don't hear anything, you just read something that a professor said, and then you read 2 responses from 2 students, which, they just discuss academic topic. And then you have 10 minutes to respond to that. So you definitely gotta make sure that you write down good quality notes. Again, notes are crucial here to succeed. So what you're gonna do is, in the first part, the integrated part, you will create a little chart with one part is for the reading or the little article, and one part is for the lecture. And then you're gonna write down what the introduction is. So what is their opinion? What side of the spectrum are they on? Like, are they for that or are they against that? Whatever the topic is. Everyone is going to provide 3 examples. So you got to write down those 3 examples that they provide or reasons. And you got to correlate each example, or you got to kind of mix and match, see which one is kind of correlating to each other. And this will help you a lot to structure your essay later on. Make sure to paraphrase your answers. Don't exactly write down what they said in that lecture or in that reading. Don't use the exact same words. Paraphrase it, word it in a different way, and you'll be on the safe side. Then when you get to that academic discussion, you have to come up with some reasoning for yourself why you prefer one or the other student's opinion. So if you have difficulties coming up with a good response for the academic discussion, you can always think about 4 major points in life, or what is usually the most important thing in life. It's health, it's family, learning, and work, right? One of those can always be related to the topic that they're talking about. So that will definitely help you to come up with a good idea. Yeah, it's just very important for the writing part to not overdo it. Keep it short. I wouldn't do more than 1 to 2 sentences to fill in the template. I would keep it short because you're also kind of in a time crunch. You have to get used to that, but have fun with it and let me know how it's going. I will definitely keep posting some more videos, so make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.